Hey there, my name is Julie and welcome back to Here Comes the Sun. This clip is going to be entirely about the trip we took to London for the Globals in 2024. So this is a compilation of all the photos that I have taken, my son has taken, and the person who was supporting me on the trip took as well. So don't forget to like, subscribe, get that all out of the way, hit the bell, all that stuff. We left Canberra really quite late. Canberra to Melbourne was our first leg. We did take some photos in the lounge before we left, but people who know me know that with my disability, I have a lot of pain, and my ordinary medication, normally by this time of the afternoon, late evening, early evening, I would have been in bed, so I was looking a little worse for wear. We did fly. I had Ollie beside me. And Robin was directly across the aisle from me, which was great in case I needed help on that first leg, which was possibly going to be one of the toughest without meds in. Oliver managed to find himself some dessert in Melbourne. We boarded our next flight, flying beautiful Singapore Airlines, all the way through to Singapore. Once we landed in Singapore, we had another layover in the Singapore lounge, and as of last year, we made it a tradition to take the Melbourne-Singapore photo in front of the clocks, just for fun. We did try to take the Grinch everywhere now and then, but we forgot it every now and then. We did take some photos before we boarded the next leg, which was the longest flight through from Singapore to Heathrow. I was getting supported through the wheelchair, and Robin and Ollie took a chance to take a snap. Yes, we did fly business class. It doesn't make it a great deal more comfortable. It is more comfortable, obviously, for my pain, but a lot of people have judgments. No judgments. This is just the way it has to be for me. It was a flight that we do very much get well taken care of, and not at all supported by Singapore Airlines, but gosh, I'll support them every step of the way. They take such great care. It's a super long flight. I think we were in the air a total of 27 hours, but in transit for maybe closer to 33 or so. So a long time. We had lots of food, lots and lots and lots of food coming through. I know that Robin and Oliver watched a lot of movies, which was great fun for them. And then it was time for us to get in a cab and head to our apartment. So welcome to Wednesday, our first full day, and trying to kick the potential for jet lag. So we did a bit of a walk, decided to walk from our apartment in Kensington, head up through Kensington Gardens, and find ourselves somewhere delicious to have some morning tea or breakfast, whatever you wanted to call it. Of course, getting to see the sights, London buses, London cabs, London, even their churches, obviously, we absolutely adored. So it was a very special time. And of course, squirrels, which we don't have in Australia unless they're in the zoo. We did get our first glimpse of lights, Christmas lights, which was pretty special as well as we're walking through Kensington Gardens, some of the more special parts. First priority stop was the Lego shop, and my young man thought that was just fantastic. If he could get that character in the back, he would have been absolutely thrilled. So the Lego shop in Australia isn't quite the same as the two-story Lego shop in London, but we had a ball checking these out. Oliver had a great time making his own minifigure, and we just generally got to enjoy the buzz that was the Lego shop. Across the courtyard is actually the M&M shop, which is 4 levels of M&M. I just don't understand how there is so much paraphernalia about M&Ms, but Oliver still managed to find himself a red telephone box downstairs. I thought this was quite a funny little saying, I'm afraid of what might happen if I relax. Yep. You could even stand on this little platform and it told you what your M&M were. Oliver was going to be red, a born leader. Not surprised. I'd been searching then for a place that we had visited last year that had Australian lamb chops. Sadly, they'd changed their menu. Oliver still found himself a chicken burger. He tends to find them anywhere and everywhere. Our next stop was actually to the Winter Wonderland, which I have to say was a little bit disappointing. All of the media that I had read about the event kind of sold it as Christmas markets, whilst it was lovely and bright and beautiful, it seemed more like a big show with rides and food, and it really wasn't what I was expecting. And so we headed home. So on Thursday, which of course is the night of the Globals, we actually decided to play tourist while the weather was great, and we went to Westminster Abbey first. This is one of the most beautiful locations. I will forever be in awe of this building and in awe of the history and the magic and the absolute the chills you get when you wander through Westminster. I was actually lucky enough to visit Westminster Abbey last year when I was over for the Globals, so I don't have as many photos from there. However, it was genuinely such a sacred place. I am forever grateful for the opportunity to have been in such a magic place. Of course, one of the most important things to Oliver was to see Big Ben. He had been talking about it his entire way over on the plane, so getting his photo taken in front of Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela out in the corridor, and most importantly in front of Big Ben, it was pretty special. So we played the tourist and we did the telephone box again, and then we found something super special.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love that sound of the horses.
My apologies for the incredibly excited voiceover. However, that was recorded on the day and I was absolutely in awe. So we headed to Buckingham Palace and we got to see the guards marching. We were very frustrated to find out that there were some very, very favourite royals travelling around town, and 3 times we were within just a couple of seconds of seeing their entourage. We saw their cars flying past us, just couldn't get our cameras out in time. So it was a very special thing to have our photos done in front of the gates of Buckingham Palace. It's something that we don't have here in Australia, something with that kind of majesty, I guess. But then it was time for us to get ready for the whole reason we were there, for the Globals. So my beautiful 13-year-old son, who looks like, seriously, he could be the next James Bond, looked absolutely stunning in his suit. The place we stayed had a super duper staircase for taking photos. Rob looked gorgeous in her dress. And I have to thank, of course, the beautiful. And then came time for my award. We don't get any heads up, so we don't have John's introduction, but we do have my speech. Take a listen.
Oh, sure. Hey, give me a microphone. That's dangerous. This young man beside me is standing here. You can hold my certificate. You can hold on to that. This is my beautiful 13-year-old son. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get this started.
Yeah, go for it.
This is Oliver, my beautiful son, who's got the last week of high school off this week to be here with us tonight. I really value being a part of this whole process, and as being a part of business development is like riding a wave. It's about being ahead of the wave just a little bit and making sure that what's coming we're prepared for. There's so much still to be done in NDIS and making it better and making sure that we are doing what we're supposed to do. I am an NDIS participant. I am someone who's very proud to have advocated strongly for NDIS, and I still will argue that it is the absolute best system in the world. We just have a few kinks to clear out. So one thing I want the world to know is that we are actively trying to get rid of those kinks. And the more we, as a community, identify them and actually stand up and say it's not okay and get things right, we will have a perfect system, and it's going to be amazing. So thank you for every role that you play, each and every one of us plays in making sure our system not only supports the people that are in your service, supports your staff to remain employed, because that's what NDIS does. It actually employs people. Magic. But it also keeps families together. And in my case, Oliver, who's 13, at 5 was named as my carer. So his dad, my husband, lives with us, but he's often travelling. Oliver is my carer, and NDIS has given him the freedom back to be a teenage boy again. So I think sure.
Here we go.
Oh, sure.
There we go. Give you some context, the NDA.
After a very late night on Thursday night, after we were back at the apartment and went live with the Brisbane folk to share our news, it was back to being a tourist again on Friday, and we went to Kensington Palace and actually got to tour. It was closed last year when we were over for the Global, so it was just quite magical to wander through there and see some of the amazing treasures and jewels. I did try to find some funky ways of recording some images, and that's okay, but these are beautiful, and to know that we've seen them on royalty is just magic. Oliver actually really loved sitting in one of the rooms. There's an opportunity to actually try on the costumes. I don't know why I recorded the wallpaper. I thought it was just amazing, beautiful wallpaper. This wallpaper really depressed me a little bit. It was a bit of crazy. One of the rooms actually had a sitting area where you could watch a very old theatre-like setup with cardboard characters. Oliver was quite enthralled. He sat there for some time having a watch and a listen to the music that was playing. It was quite lovely. Once we were finished there, we finished up going through Kensington Gardens, seeing these gorgeous birds. So after lunch at the Hard Rock Cafe, where of course we had to do a Here's Cheers to being in London in 2024 and winning the award 2 years in a row, we headed out to the Tower of London. Again, something we didn't get to do last year. And whilst there was a tour that we could join in, we had as much fun just following around a little bit and then listening into the gentleman who was absolutely brilliant in his role as one of the, I think he's a guard, I don't know the technical terms, but this is where we got to see the really, really, really amazing jewels. Now, we did abide by all the rules. We didn't take photos in the actual, I think they call it I don't know what they call it actually, but it's where all the crown jewels are. Literally the crowns that were on top of King Charles and the Queen's head. It was just amazing to see those, to see the sort, all the absolute magic that we saw at the Tower of London was just beautiful. And of course, Robin did an amazing job of making it out right on sunset to catch some photos of London Bridge. It was just so good. The whole place was something much, much, much more different than I was expecting. I actually never knew it was where the most exotic animals were kept in England. I think that's just crazy. Like, I didn't realise that's where the Tower of London was almost like a zoo. And that's why there are some actual wire sort of monuments to the animals. Very clever. Now, we had initially made plans that on the night of the awards we would actually take a taxi earlier and see the lights of London, but the weather would not play nicely. So on our way back from the Tower of London, we actually asked the cabbie to take us on a bit of a tour. Just, I guess the long way around to head back to our apartment. And so we got to see the most beautiful sights. Please remember these photos have been taken either through the roof of the plexiglass on the top of the cab or out the cab window while we're driving. There was only a couple of opportunities that he was able to pull over because London in peak hour traffic on a Friday afternoon, a little chaotic. And it happened to be the night that Princess Catherine was actually recording the Together at Christmas carols concert at Westminster Abbey. So there was a lot of busy around town. So we appreciate the photos that we got and the memories that we have of those photos. It was so lovely to see the Christmas lights and even crazy little ones that happen when you accidentally take things at high speed. But that's okay. I adore these angel monuments. They're just beautiful as they hang between the buildings. I have no idea who pays for all of this, who makes it all happen, but they cannot let it stop. It is just such a treasure to see. I am so glad we got to just drive through and sit there and look after absolutely packing as much into our travels as we could to see this beautiful representation of the most special season of the year. It was pretty special. Love this last one. I think it's coming up in a second or very shortly. My favourite will be always at Fortnum and Mason, where they do an advent calendar in their windows. And I think that is just the most clever way to represent the Christmas lights. But Harrods did a great job. And all of Regent Street was just a buzz. It was just beautiful. I have no other words than enjoy. It was just such a treasure. We could have gone on one of those red bus light tours, but we would have to been sitting up the top in the open air. It was expensive and it was cold, so we quite appreciated the view that we got from inside the cab. Some of them were very obvious. Obviously that one is for Chanel. Some of them are double ups because we were taking them between Robert and I outside of both windows of the cab, which was a great way to see the lights of London. Some of them are just, they take your breath away. They really do. And those are memories that aren't going anywhere. They're stuck in there for good. Very, very glad we got to see the lights of London. We did all have a favourite, I think, and the angels certainly were up there. To see something as simple as the gold leaf. I'll get it right in a second. The gold lit wreaths around the brick buildings were just beautiful. It was just stunning. It doesn't take much to actually put people in the Christmas spirit. There's the advent calendar on the corner. It's just so special. A little crazy when you go in the shop though. Very crazy. We didn't spend a lot of time in there, but we did get this year's Christmas decorations. So before long, Saturday was there and it was time to start our last touristy bit at the Natural History Museum. It was disappointing that they don't have great access, especially standing outside in the rain for nearly an hour. But inside, this amazing, we still don't know what it is, but apparently the escalator is broken. It looked amazing. So in the very initial entryway, there's obviously, if you've been to the Natural History Museum in London, all of these sites will look familiar to you. These are all things that I find just amazing that they exist. We do have a great Natural History Museum, or a great museum here in London. Where am I? Canberra. We do have a great museum here, and we do frequently visit the museum. But a lot of our stuff is on loan from London. But this was something else, absolutely something else. There is some images coming up shortly that absolutely freaked me out. Not so much live when we were there, but certainly when I watched the playback. So you will remember that most people will know that telephones take images in live mode, and then so there could be some movement happening in the image. We went to a bird exhibit, and there were all these tiny little kind of hummingbirds and finches all in this one case. And for some reason, in that image right there, when it is live, they actually move. Now, there's only one tiny little section that moves, but man, does it freak me out every time I look at it. That is a giant sloth. Anyone who doesn't believe me, check out the Natural History Museum of London website. I'm sure you'll be able to find some information on it. It was just a glorious building to be in. Outside of anything else, outside of the history that was there, outside of the exhibits, outside of the amount of people that were there, it was quite phenomenal. I had to take a photo of this guy because my dad is a very keen fisherman, even though Seafood and I don't agree. And I love these different displays zoomed in so that we could perhaps use them for some artwork later on. The butterflies and dragonflies, everything just looks so stunning and overwhelming and beautiful, and it didn't matter that you had screaming children all the way around you, which even Oliver commented on. It was just lovely to see such history, such just the magic of it all was there, and it was there for everyone to see, and it was fantastic. So I'm really glad that we did make it to the Natural History Museum and get to see all of this in real life, not just on a TV show or a movie or a documentary. It was truly special. But before long, it was time to head to the airport, and although it was blustery, very, very cold, chilly weather, we headed into the lounge to wait before taking our flights. Our seats, our very tired, weary eyes headed back firstly to Singapore, then the last leg. Not quite sure why the hostie decided that Rob needed to have a do not disturb sign on, but she did, and that's what happened. So and if you've flown with a teenager, you'll know the importance of privacy, and he had that screen up so he could sleep. The last leg of our flight was slightly disappointing. They mixed things up and we were stuck on an economy flight. So at the Globals, they actually have a videographer and a photographer who takes professional photos. So about a week after, we usually get those sent through. So this is us all glammed up and looking pretty official. I did get that mic, so there's a photo of that. Oliver very intent looking at my certificate. They do take photos both immediately after the award is announced, and then they allow us to spend some other time after the formalities are done and get some other pics done, which was, a mum's best chance to get some cool photos with her handsome young man. He's absolutely gorgeous and he absolutely melts my heart every day. It was lovely to have him there celebrating with us. So and then about a week after that, we arrived home one day, and classic line from the castle, it's going straight to the pool room. My trophy arrived. So it is a match to my trophy from last year, and something that I could not be more supremely proud of.